Hello everyone and welcome back to Transfer Review on Euro Football Daily, the show where we look at all the biggest news and stories going around in silly season. And it is silly season at the moment, isn't it? Dougie Critchley, the man I'm joined by today. Dougie, what are you making of this transfer window so far?
It's been chaotic, hasn't it? I mean, particularly in England, we've seen Spurs going for Luis Diaz. It looks like Liverpool are now sneaking in there. We've seen the Bruno Guimaraes deal be on and off, etc. Newcastle failing to sign numerous targets. It's been very exciting. We put out a Continental Club yesterday on the best moves of the window, the clubs that won the transfer window. And there are actually some really smart business from around Europe, actually, probably more so than the Premier League. So I think it's been really enjoyable. How about you, Henry?
Yeah, it's been nuts. Every week, just little moves going on everywhere, and all these stories bursting through. And we've just seen Jack Clark to Sunderland, haven't we, from Tottenham? Indeed. That's one for you to be excited about.
Absolutely, yeah. Joining Lee Johnson's revolution there. We've got Bolton Wanderers at 3 p.m. tomorrow, which I'm very excited to watch.
Brilliant. I will be tuning in. But anyway, some quick other moves on the continent this week. That's what we've been doing every week, just giving a quick review on some moves that you may have missed. Pietro Pellegrini, his loan move to AC Milan was cancelled and he's now gone to Torino from Monaco. And Milan have actually signed an 18-year-old striker called Marko Lazetic from Red Star for €4 million. So that's worth following down the line. Wilfred Boney is out of retirement. He's gone to NEC in the Eredivisie. And Daniel Vass has joined Atletico Madrid from Valencia for €2.5 million. He's 32 now, so that is a move I don't think any of us saw coming at all. He's there to play, apparently. It's a very serious move. So yeah, Daniel Vass making it big when no one was expecting. But we're in Italy for our main transfer this week, dudes, because I'm not sure about this story. I don't believe this will happen, but it's a transfer I'd love to see.
Yeah, I think this one's got a better chance of... I mean, I've got a better chance of winning, best lid of 2022 than this one actually happening. Victor Osimhen to Arsenal. Come on, guys. This isn't happening this close to the end of the window. But according to Gazzetta dello Sport, Arsenal are supposedly weighing up a move for the Napoli forward Victor Osimhen. According to the report, Mikel Arteta has turned his attention to the Nigerian striker after missing out on Dusan Vlahovic, who is now doing his medical at Juventus. I think it's about to be confirmed as we shoot this. It will be definitely confirmed by the time this video goes live. And they were clearly willing to pay pretty large money for Vlahovic. Was it about £50 million they offered? And Luca Torreira, I think it was. And they're probably willing to offer the same for Osimhen. Gazzetta dello Sport believe Napoli president Aurelio De Laurentiis wants at least €70 million, £58 million for the forward, who has scored 9 goals in 16 games for the Partenopei in all competitions this season, in a season that's been really affected by injury and bad luck as well. He's been absolutely excellent for Napoli when he has played. But it does seem a little strange, this fee, given it's €10 million less than what they paid Lille for the 23-year-old back in 2020. And he certainly maintained his value or potentially even upped it in Naples. There's also the argument, do they even need to sell? Manolas has joined Olympiacos for €2.5 million this winter. Probably a reasonable good move for him and the club. I don't think he was ever really sort of title-winning quality. No. I mean, Younes has left for Saudi Arabia. A bit of a shame for him after a promising loan spell at Eintracht Frankfurt last season. And financially, they're actually in a pretty good shape. So according to our research, they're one of only 4 Serie A clubs to turn a profit between 2010 and 2020, alongside Sassuolo, Atalanta, and Minos Crotone. Napoli have also made by far the most money in the last decade, earning €132.2 million, only recording a loss on 3 separate years. So Aurelio De Laurentiis does get a lot of criticism for being slightly mental and driving a hard bargain, but fair play to him. The accounts are looking pretty healthy. For context, between 2010 and 2020, AC Milan ran at an astonishing loss of over €914 million. Roma too at close to 530. So some of their rivals for Champions League spaces at that time across those last 10 years not been so prudent with their money, I should say. In the 2020 fiscal year, Napoli only recorded a loss of €19 million, which was reasonable considering the financial implications of COVID. So they're in no real need to sell Osimhen, particularly this window. Lorenzo Insigne is, of course, on his way out of the club to join Toronto. So yeah, I can't see Osimhen leaving this window. Even in the summer, I think it's going to be really difficult to get hold of him. They're on a nice little recovery run in Serie A now. They're just 4 points behind Inter, who do have a game in hand, I believe. But for Arsenal, Henry, it's really clear why they'd want a striker of Osimhen's quality.
Yeah, I mean, we raved about him a lot, didn't we, at the start of the season? When he plays well, when he's fit, he is a brilliant footballer. I mean, last season he scored 10 across his debut campaign in Italy, which might not jump off the page, but the numbers tell a completely different story. He takes a ton of shots. It was 3.6 per 90 last season. That's up to 3.9 this term. His accuracy isn't great, to be fair. He only hits the target with about 25% of his efforts. But he's scoring with every other opportunity which is testing the keeper. So if you sort of run those numbers down, he's sort of creating a goal every other game at the rate he's at the moment by, testing the keeper at least once a match. And it means his career rate of 0.7 non-penalty goals per 90, that places him among the top 4% of strikers in Europe's major leagues right now, which shows that give him the opportunity, give him the service, and Osimhen will score goals. He also works really hard for the team too. We see like a tackle a game, 2 aerial wins. He averages around 16 pressures, which is pretty impressive for a forward, and he's also really quick. He is very, very quick when he gets going. Last season he completed 64% of his dribbles as well, so that's dropped off a little bit this term. But Napoli know if they can get him in behind the last man, then he's going to be an absolute weapon, and he can kind of do it all. He can play in the box, he can play as a target man, he can play on the last shoulder. I think he could play in a pair up front as well. Massive fan of Osimhen. As you kind of touched upon there, Diggs, injuries have often got the better of him. According to Transfermarkt, he's missed 39 matches for Napoli in the last 18 months, thanks to 6 separate injuries. This season we saw him out with a cheekbone fracture, and also I think he recently contracted COVID, and he refused to go to the AFCON. I believe they tried to call him up, Nigeria, and he said no because of his fitness problems, which is a shame for the Super Eagles because he scored 10 in his last 18 appearances as well. So, I mean, those injury concerns are another reason why I'd be slightly hesitant right now to pay big money for him. Certainly if I was Arsenal. But yeah, the point is, keep him fit. He is a quality striker, and these are the kind of players that Arsenal should be targeting, although I do think pigs will fly before they sell him this January, as you say. But who else would be in for him but Newcastle United? That's who Gazzetta dello Sport claimed chasing him as well. I'm not going to give too much credence to that, but I mean, fair enough. If they've seen Arsenal looking at him, they've definitely fancied it as well. But I mean, this isn't the only target Arsenal are after. I actually read that AS in Spain say they're looking at Raul de Tomas, my favourite player in La Liga. So apparently he's got about a €70 million release clause, which I think is way too much for the 27-year-old, but certainly a proven goal scorer. We've seen Jonathan David might be available for around €55 million in the summer. He's got 12 goals this season. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, there's lots of talk there, but I think that would be suicidal of Mashiri to sell him at this moment in time. And then obviously Alexander Isak, he's the one that everyone thinks is the most likely because he does have that €75 million active release clause right now. They're looking very closely at him, but he's only got 5 goals in 18 La Liga appearances this term. So it's an interesting one. I mean, of that kind of selection, Dukes, who would you go for if you were the Arsenal board? Because it certainly looks like they are willing to spend big money on a sort of statement forward.
Yeah, I think in the summer, I don't think they're going to get a statement forward before the Monday deadline, obviously. Well, I'd be very surprised if they did. I might be proved wrong on that. But I'd probably go for Calvert-Lewin, to be honest. I think he's the right age. If he recovers well from this injury, that's going to be the crucial thing with him. I think his goal-scoring record in the Premier League over the last 2 years has been really impressive. He's done well for England when he's been called up as well. Knows the league, crucially as well. I think Alexander Isak would be a slight risk at his age. Also didn't do that well at Dortmund given his opportunities. Jonathan David probably feels like Lille to Arsenal's quite a big step with the amount of pressure on this signing. They've got to come through the door and take them into sort of consistent Champions League qualifiers and hopefully title challenges in the next 4 to 5 years. Do I see Jonathan David doing that? Maybe, but I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin probably has a better opportunity if they can negotiate a good price with Everton, who aren't going anywhere as a club right now. That's probably the move I'd go for.
Ah, there we go. I'd go for Jonathan David, but I completely agree with you about DCL as well. I think Calvert-Lewin, that'd be a quality transfer if they could pull that off. I just think the David deal would be easier to make. Anyway, let us know at home who you think Arsenal should go for. Osimhen, would you like to see him in the Premier League at Arsenal or Newcastle? And let's move on to the transfer we don't really like.
So the transfer we don't like, which hasn't been completed, it might never be completed, but there was talk yesterday about Wout Weghorst going to Burnley. What is going on with this one, Henry? This would be one of the shocks of the window, shocks of the year.
This is one of my favourite transfer rumours or story. I mean, it's got quite a lot of credibility. I mean, it's been reported by the Athletic's Andy Jones, who's Burnley's writer, and he claims they're confident that deal can be struck for the Wolfsburg 6'6" striker, Weghorst.
Sorry to interrupt, Henry. This gives me real Jeff Hendrick to AC Milan vibes from a couple of years ago, but kind of in reverse.
The all-time greatest rumour ever to appear on Sportsmo. I completely agree with you. I mean, what I love about this is it's cut through all the nonsense to do with Newcastle, your Thomas Müller, Dan Burns, etc. Apparently they're bidding for Armando Broja as well. So yeah, this is great to see. Burnley going big for a prolific,
literally going big, yeah,
for a prolific Bundesliga scorer. I mean, this is why I find it so intriguing. I mean, ever since he joined Die Wolfe from RZ in June 2018, he's netted 53 times in the Bundesliga. That was just in his first 3 campaigns, and he's got 6 and 18 this season too. So he knows. He's a proven scorer. I think he got 20 last term as well. He has Wolfsburg sort of powered into the Champions League spots. And he's kind of everything you can imagine Sean Dyche wanting in a forwards. Obviously, massive presence. He's never scored from outside the box. That's what I saw in the Bundesliga, and he regularly hits the target over once a match. Scores a lot of headers as well. So it's everything you can imagine. But he also works incredibly hard for a big man too. He's currently second in the Bully for pressures, and that's the 3rd time in 4 years that he's been in this position. I think he completed the most pressures at one point. So he's making about 23.2 per 90. So he's doing his shift, leading the line. And he wins over 3 aerials a game, as you can imagine. And he's also an excellent link-up player too, contributing 19 Bully assists. Actually with Cornet, that could be a nice little duo for Burnley. But I mean, I just don't understand why he'd want to go to the Clarets right now, why he'd want to be playing at Turf Moor. He's been linked with some really big clubs in the past, including Roma, Spurs, West Ham. We're looking at him. I think this would be a really sensible transfer for West Ham. Certainly with Antonio's goal output, a bit suspect at moments, but West Ham, a club going in the right direction. This is the kind of player that they should be going after, because at the end of the day, he's only 29, and if you consider the style of play that he's working at the moment, he's got at least 4 years of sort of top level football. I believe Weghorst at this point in time. His contract doesn't expire until 18 months, so I don't know what Wolfsburg are doing considering selling him at the moment. And if he does make this move, he would be going from Champions League football this year to potentially Championship football Dukes, and that's what I don't understand why for Burnley or Wolfsburg, how this move is going to work out. I mean, what do you think about Burnley's chances at the moment?
It's looking pretty bleak, isn't it? Especially with Maxwell Cornet struggling with injury prior to going to the AFCON as well. A lot of pressure now on his shoulders after that Chris Wood departure, of course. Do you back Rodriguez or Vidra to really step up and score the goals towards the end of the year? Not really. Weghorst would give them a real chance, though, I feel like. With Dwight McNeil's delivery from the left-hand side, that would be an excellent addition. But yeah, as I say, after 6 straight seasons in the Premier League, Burnley are really struggling. They're currently bottom of the Premier League with 1 win and just 12 points, although they do have 3 games in hand on Newcastle in 18th and 4 on Norwich in 17th, or on 16 points. Goals have been their issue. They've only scored 16. That's worsened only by Norwich. And I think Wolves, interestingly, are 3rd worst. And it's not helped at all by Newcastle's big spending. Chris Wood's obviously taken their main source of goals over the last 3 years. He scored over 10 league goals, I think, for the last 3 completed seasons, Chris Wood. Hasn't been as effective this year. But yeah, that was a big loss. There is talk about Croatian winger Miroslav Orsic coming in from Dinamo Zagreb for €7 million, or £7 million, sorry. Any Spurs fans won't need reminding about what he did to them in the Europa League last year, was it? Yeah, exactly. The 29-year-old has scored 40 goals in 100 league games for Zagreb and netted a hat-trick against Spurs last season, as I mentioned. And they have been linked, Burnley, with a selection of championship forwards if they can't get this Weghorst deal done, including QPR's Lyndon Dykes, who I think's just got injured, Andy Carroll, who's close to joining West Brom, supposedly, and Cardiff City's Kiefer Moore, who has been linked with a move to Bournemouth as well. So they're fighting off competition from teams that, well, particularly in the case of Bournemouth, that could be in the Premier League next year. So getting Weghorst through the door would be an amazing coup for Burnley. I just struggle to see it being done, to be honest. And for Wolfsburg, it would be really stupid to sell their star striker right now. They are having a disastrous campaign. They've picked up just 2 points since mid-November and are now winless in 9, and they finished bottom of their Champions League group. A very easy group by Champions League standards as well. Florian Kohfeldt came in recently. He's only won 3 of his 14 matches in charge since taking over from Marco van Bommel. And he could be on course to oversee back-to-back relegations after suffering the same fate with Werder Bremen. Just had no manager bounce whatsoever, Kohfeldt at Wolfsburg. They have a huge game coming up next against bottom of the league Greuther Fürth, after the international break. So that's a 6-pointer if ever I've seen one. Weghorst is still their top scorer this season, closely followed by Lucas Metzger as well, who's having an excellent campaign, the developing striker who is formerly on the books of Man City, I believe. So Weghorst to Burnley doesn't make sense from a Wolfsburg perspective. It doesn't make sense from a Weghorst perspective, but it certainly makes sense from a Burnley perspective if they can get this guy through the door. So we just don't like it from Weghorst's perspective, but it'd be a magnificent move for Burnley.
Absolutely, I completely agree. I mean, if they can pull this off after selling Chris Wood, that'd be one of the greatest shifts I've ever seen. So yeah, listen, Burnley fans, let us know how excited you are potentially about this move. Don't get us wrong, we don't hate it. Just for Wolfsburg and for the player, it doesn't make much sense. But you never know with Sean Dyche and Burnley. They've got out of these sticky situations before.
He's a wizard.
Maybe they can do it again. I wouldn't hate them if they did it either. All right, that's it for transfer review for another week. I think this is the last one maybe of the window. We might have a special one to sort of review the deadline day moves. So stay tuned for that next week. Lots of deadline day content coming your way. Dougie, what should our audience look forward to?
So, as I said, please go check out yesterday's Continental Club. We talked about the clubs that won the window. It was a really good discussion. We didn't have big match predictions this weekend. And then we finished with a discussion about some of the other moves going on. What was it? Amad Diallo to Rangers and Bruno Guimaraes to Newcastle. So we covered pretty much everything you should need to know about European transfers so far this January.
Love it. All right, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel and all that jazz. Have a good weekend and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.